Right, film number one for my pick is Rocco and His Brothers, directed by Luchino Visconti. It came out in 1960, and it's just one of the biggest masterpieces of Italian cinema, probably one of the best that ever came out of Italy. It's about this family of five brothers who moved from south of Italy to the north of Italy, which was quite common in the 60s because the south was very poor and everyone was moving from leaving rural villages, moving to the north of Italy where all the big factories were. And the late 50s, 60s were what they call in Italy the economic miracle, the years of the economic miracle. So people started to have the power to buy TV sets and cars, and consumerism was getting bigger and bigger. So people tried to leave small towns to move to bigger places to looking for opportunities, and this is what the family does. It's comprised of five brothers and a mother. They moved to Milan from Sicily, and they just don't know anyone, and they all struggle to fit in different ways. Some people with work, some people with love, and they're all the central character Rocco, who's played by Alain Delon, is this kind of a saint-like figure who keeps the family together and struggles between the loyalty towards the family and his own life. And this is a perfect example of neorealism, but it's also very melodramatic. So it's a big melodrama. It's 3 hours long. And it's just it's just incredible, and it gives you an idea of the differences between the south of Italy as well and the north of Italy, culturally speaking as well. So it's a film about a family, but it's also a film about Italy itself. So yeah, definitely a good choice there. Oh, definitely this one will be my second pick. Can't believe you have this actually. It's I wouldn't even know where to find it in Italy, to be honest. It's really good. The Stolen Children, second film by Gianni Amelio. This is from 1992, I think. And there's a theme here because it starts in Sicily again, so kind of like Rocco and His Brothers. It's about a young policeman who's been tasked with taking two children from Sicily to Milan to a foster family, because the mother of the children has been arrested for forcing the little girl Rosetta into prostitution, and she was only 11. So it's kind of a very dark premise. So this young policeman Antonio has to take them to Milan, and it's basically a road movie because they have to travel from Sicily to the north. And at first, Antonio is not happy with this task. He doesn't want to do it. And the children are very aloof. They don't really want to be there either. But as they go along, they form a very strong bond with each other. The children kind of start to live again and laugh. And Antonio develops this kind of fatherly bond towards them. So it's quite sweet. Again, it almost feels like a modern neorealism set in the 90s, and it's quite interesting because again, like Rocco, you get to see the difference between the south of Italy and the north and how people react to this little girl, because at first the policeman tries to protect her, doesn't want people to know who this girl is, but there's a scene where people find out from a newspaper article who the girl was, and they look at it very differently. And it's kind of interesting as well because most of the characters, most of the cast are non-professionals, so it gives it's very raw, very authentic feel. Really, really good film. There's actually another film by Gianni Amelio that I really want to see, but I can't find it anywhere. Definitely recommend it. My third pick is, we're going into a different direction now. We've got Almost Human by Umberto Lenzi. This is very like, I have to show the cover because it's wow, it's shameless, as it says here. So we're going into something completely different. This came out in 1972 or 74, I can't remember. 74. And it's a perfect example of Italian polizieschi or polizioteschi, basically crime thrillers that were inspired by the big crime thrillers, the American crime thrillers like Dirty Harry or The French Connection. So basically the Italians realized that these films made money in America. So they thought, let's make the same thing for Italy. So they came up with these crime thrillers that were very cheaply made because they had to be made very quickly. So, for example, they never they never recorded live sounds. They were always dubbed in post production, which is quite interesting because most of the cast were foreign or American. So it's funny because the Italian actors couldn't speak English, so they had to kind of play whatever in whichever way they could, and then they would dub the film later on. And this is about a small criminal, a very horrible character who realizes that petty crime and robbing people won't make him rich, so he wants to go big. So he decides to kidnap his girlfriend's boss's daughter, and it just goes berserk. It's absolutely insane. It's very violent. There are also very interesting car chases scenes as well. And in these films, the actors did their own stunts because they didn't have the money to pay for stunt doubles. So if you see some scenes that look very dangerous, it's because they were dangerous. And yeah, it's really good. The main actor is played by Thomas Millian, who did a lot of films like this. Yeah, absolutely. It's violent, it's gritty. It's interesting because it shows you a different kind of Italy compared to the other two films that I mentioned. Yeah, Rock and his brothers showed you how Italy was changing. This is a very violent and gritty Italy. And the 70s in Italy were called the Gli anni di piombo, which means the years of lead, referencing to guns and bullets, because they were years in which terrorism and kidnappings and bombings were daily realities. So people watched these films and they could see a reality that they recognized. So yeah, very, very good film. Oh, this is amazing. Don't Torture a Duckling. This is my fourth pick. Probably one of the best titles I've ever heard. Definitely. This is directed by Lucio Fulci, and it's a perfect example of an Italian giallo, so a mystery thriller. It's set again in a village in a town of southern Italy, and where children start to get murdered. And a young journalist and a woman have to find who the culprit is, while the village are taken over by fear and suspicion. They start accusing the outsiders and the misfits. There's a lot of superstition going on in this small town. And actually, Fulci wanted to set this in Turin in the north of Italy, but the producers were like, no, just set it in the south of Italy. Yeah, and it shows you how small towns were very toxic, especially due to the weight of the Catholic Church. And yeah, understandably, the Catholic Church hated this film and accused it of being blasphemous and overly sexual and violent. There's a scene where the main actress, Florinda Balkan, who's amazing, is performing a voodoo ritual. So obviously the church wasn't happy with that. Yeah, amazing stuff. There's also a scene where a very infamous scene where Florinda Balkan is a victim of abuse, and she performed the scene herself without any double. So that was quite interesting. Yeah, I think that's one of Lucio Fulci's biggest masterpieces. Yeah. My fifth and last pick is Acatone by Pasolini. I can't talk about Italian cinema without talking about Pasolini. It would be a crime. This is his first film, which came out in 1961. And I like the fact that they didn't translate the title and they kept it as Acatone, which means scrounger, basically a beggar, someone who lives off scraps, who lives off other people, a leech. So it's a very powerful title. And it's about a pimp in the slums of Rome who finds himself kind of lost after his prostitute gets arrested. So he doesn't have any way to live. So he has to find another way to survive. But it's kind of trapped by his own fate, his own self-destructive character. And it's quite interesting compared to the first film that I picked, Rocco, because they both films came out basically at the same time. Rocco came out in 1960. This came out the year later, but they show you completely different sides of Italy because while Visconti with Rocco wanted to show how Italy was becoming modern and industrialized and everything was changing, Pasolini prefers to focus on the outskirts of society, of on the people who were left behind even by neo-realism. They were just ignored, so beggars, prostitutes, thieves, which didn't sit very well with the public when it first came out, because they didn't want to see these people on screen. And all the casts, most of it is non-professional, which is very common with Pasolini. So it gives the film a very documentary-like feel because he used people from the actual slums of Rome for this film. And what Pasolini does as well, he likes to portray his character as like they're in a painting. So he shoots them like they're Renaissance characters in a painting, which again didn't sit well with the audience because he would portray prostitutes like they were in a painting, which was very groundbreaking. Yeah, very just a great film. I hope you guys pick.